It's hard to describe because the Virgin Islands themselves it's obviously a beautiful place. It's in the Caribbean. It looked as if there had been a forest fire, but there was no fire. So all the trees were completely stripped of their leaves. There was no green. It was completely brown. Most houses were completely destroyed. There were power poles everywhere, kind of snapped in half, all over roads. The residents were 3 weeks in of having no electricity and had just recently started getting supplies like water, food, shelter, those types of things. So they were really struggling with that. It was pretty unreal to be there ourselves and not have those amenities, but obviously much more impactful for the residents who had been going weeks without those kind of creature comforts. I was deployed as part of the federal government's response under the Department of Health and Human Services to provide mental health services to the residents of the United States Virgin Islands who were affected by hurricanes Irma and Maria. We met with a lot of agency leadership, so the head of FEMA, the head of American Red Cross, nonprofit organizations that were there, different federal government assets. There was a lot of military folks there. So we met with the leadership there and figured out what did they need from a mental health perspective. So we really tasked with two different things. One was providing training to those first responders on how to interact with residents from a mental health perspective. So training them on psychological first aid, how do you discuss with those residents how they're doing, how their mental health has been, how they've been coping. And so training those first responders on how to interact with residents, being mindful of the impact the hurricanes had on their mental health. And then our second mission was to interact directly with the residents and provide psychological first aid. So talking with them, recommending different ways to cope, encouraging them to seek out social support, so working directly with the residents. I was amazed about how resilient the population was. For the most part, people were doing really well, better than I would have anticipated if I had lost my house and electricity and power and all of those things. For the most part, they seemed to have a positive outlook. I think it was pretty inspiring, if nothing else, particularly working directly with the residents. Seeing how resilient people are following disasters was really neat to see, and to see it firsthand, to be able to respond during times of crisis when people are really struggling with huge disasters. I think it's important that we, as soldiers, service members, officers, step up and answer the call.